Hey guys, welcome to Cape and Cowl Cafe. I'm Nemo, and today we are going to determine once and for all which show has the better character designs, TNBA or BTAS. Today I am joined by Dylan Seek. Say hello to the people.
Hi everybody, thank you so much for having on. As someone who has also watched BTAS and TNBA way more times than I like to admit, let's go ahead and get into this.
All right, if you guys enjoyed the video at any point today, I'd really appreciate if you hit that like and subscribe button, but let's hop right in. Now, how this is going to work is we are going to bring up a character and we are going to talk about which character design was the best in each show. And for every decision that we make, we will add a tally to either BTAS or TNBA. And at the end of the video, we will decide which show truly had the greatest designs. Let's get started. All right, first up, we're not going to start with Batman. We got to save that one for later. But first, we are going to talk about the Mad Hatter, and pretty drastic difference between BTAS and TNBA. He's a lot taller in the original show, and in TNBA, he looks more like a little gremlin man. I'm kind of feeling the little gremlin man, honestly.
He looks like a garden gnome.
Yeah, I just feel like it fits the Tea
Which,
Party aesthetic.
I think that's fair. I think I personally like the BTAS design more because I think it's just he looks like a better looking guy. But Mad Hatter is a creepy dude, and honestly he looks creepier in TNBA, so I agree, I'm going TNBA.
Plus, I feel like the color green just kind of fits better with the Mad Hatter's vibe, so the color is playing a factor here. That is a point for TNBA. All right, next up we have the Riddler, and I feel like this one's not really gonna be that much of a debate because we have classic BTAS Riddler versus bald Jim Carrey in a spandex suit.
Yeah, and there's actually no design whatsoever. I mean, we go from a classy question mark tie with a beautiful blue or green blazer versus a green leotard with a giant purple question mark. I'm not quite sure what they were thinking on this one. I feel like this is one of those situations where they were forced to make him look like Jim Carrey, and no, just no, we're going BTAS.
I mean, like, BTAS Riddler just looks dapper. Like, he looks like a man who is put together, you know, he's sure of himself. And then I don't know what happened in between these two shows, but I think he had some kind of like drug related episode and like some huge midlife crisis. Like, what happened?
See, the BTAS Riddler looks like he would go on a game show and win, whereas the TNBA Riddler looks like he'd go on Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader and lose.
So that is a point for BTAS. All right, next up we have the Birdman Penguin. Now, I've never liked the trope of Penguin looking like a grotesque bird person with like weird hands. Like, I just don't like the Danny DeVito design. I think that's too far into the gross Tim Burton aesthetic, and I like it when he's just like, you know, a snarky, sleazy, classy businessman guy, you know? And in TNBA, it's just better.
Yeah, I agree. For me personally, every time I see the BTAS penguin design or just any sort of grotesque penguin three-finger design, it makes me think of the Danny DeVito penguin comic where he hooks up with Catwoman, and it's just weird. I can't believe they let Danny DeVito actually write that. So for that reason, I can't stand that weird penguin design because it's just creepier than it needs to be, whereas Penguin shouldn't necessarily be a creepy character. He should be an absolute gangster.
Plus, Penguin is famously known as the owner of the Iceberg Lounge, which is a hangout for all sorts of criminals. Now, I know in the movie The Batman, it's more of like an underground bar kind of thing with like a dance club, but if you remember how the Iceberg Lounge looked in TNBA, specifically the Mystery of the Batwoman movie, it was like a really fancy, classy place with like fountains and ice sculptures, and like it looked fancy. Now, can you imagine this disgusting, gross Penguin in BTAS running a place like that? No, he's gross. He looks homeless. He looks like he lives in a box.
He can be ugly, but still dress classy, okay? Like, he doesn't have to be ugly and dress classy, okay? Like, we get it. He's the Penguin. He's a crime boss. We're not supposed to like him, but let his actions speak for themselves. We don't need him to have three fingers to know he's weird.
Agreed. This is another point for TNBA.
I'm rooting for TNBA.
I'm rooting for BTAS.
It's
got some misses, but
I like the TNBA designs. Always have.
All right, next up, we have Harley Quinn, and this is just going to be a nice little freebie point. Both shows are going to get a point because they're pretty much identical. The only difference is, I guess, like the drawing itself, like the actual art style, but the suits are the same. They pretty much look the same, and I like Harley Quinn. Okay, I've always preferred this classic jester outfit. I don't really like any of the modern day Harley Quinn designs we've gotten. I always prefer them to just stick to this one. So I don't know. No notes.
If it ain't broke, don't fix, honestly. You said what needed to be said there. Harley Quinn, good in both shows.
All right, so a point for both TNBA and BTAS. All right, next up, we have Killer Croc, and I'm very conflicted on this one because I like the actual design of the BTAS one more. I like his face. I like how he's a little more humanoid, but I wish he was green, you know, like he's just a gray guy wearing jeans, and I'm just wanting a little more. And the TNBA design actually does have that like Killer Croc look to him.
That's kind of how I agree with it. Like, I feel like I would like the BTAS design more if it was green, but it's not green. And so for that reason, I lean more towards TNBA because crocodiles are green. So why is bro blue? I don't get it. I don't understand that design choice. I'm going TNBA.
I will have to as well. It makes me sad to put a BTAS design in the loser category, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. All right, next up, we have Clayface, and in BTAS, I just feel like there's something about his design that just has a ton of personality. I also really like the yellow eyes and the yellow teeth, and TNBA, he just looks too much like a monster. I have no idea if that makes sense. It's a big mud man, okay? Like, talking about the difference between two mud mans. I like the first mud man more.
Yeah, I feel like with TNBA, they were trying to like figure out a way to make Clayface look like he's aged, so they just made him bigger, and his clay looks almost older. Like, it looks more solidified. He looks more like a brick than he does like clay. And for that reason, I gotta go BTAS for the win. Plus, the classic feat of clay scene will never be topped, and I can't unsee that version of Clayface. That is always going to be the definitive Clayface to me.
Dude, you explained it perfectly. I didn't even realize that the TNBA design looked more like he's kind of cracking, you know, almost.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is a point for BTAS. All right, next up, we have Mr. Freeze, and this might just have to be another win for BTAS because while the TNBA Mr. Freeze design isn't horrible, he looks too robotic, if that makes sense. And
well, I mean, he is a robot when you think about it. I mean, bro,
in TNBA,
he's just the head.
You know what?
He's just the head. So I mean, he is a robot.
He is.
So BTAS has the purple gloves and the blue. He screams Freeze a whole lot more, whereas TNBA kind of just screams RoboCop, and I'm not feeling it as much.
Plus, BTAS has those goggles, the glowing red eyes. Like, oh my gosh, they just look so cool.
I mean, it's the most iconic look for Mr. Freeze. I mean, those red eyes, I mean, you can't draw Mr. Freeze without the red eyes these days.
Exactly, you can't. And also, I feel like the BTAS design makes him look more human and more sympathetic, you know, because Mr. Freeze is supposed to be this really tragic villain that we can be on his side and be like, oh my gosh, I understand why he's doing all this. But if Mr. Freeze just looks like an angry robot, I don't care. I don't care about his wife or what he's feeling, you know? That's why I think BTAS just takes the edge on this one.
Heart of Ice for the win. It'll never be topped.
Another point for BTAS. All right, next up, we have Poison Ivy, and I honestly think this goes to TNBA. Now, when it comes to Poison Ivy designs, I don't really like it when she looks too human. Like, I prefer her to have a different skin color than just like the regular human one. Like, I like her to be green or like white or something that makes her look like she's losing her humanity, if that makes sense.
I agree. I've always preferred the TNBA version. This is a hot take. I know most people prefer the BTAS one, but one of the things I've said is I personally think, as far as the voice acting job, which was phenomenally done in the show, I've always personally thought the voice fits the TNBA design a lot more than the design in Batman the Animated Series, simply because it just, like he said, like she looks more like she is a part of the plants than she is just someone dressed up like a plant lady. It's just feels like she's a part of it. It feels angry. I like it so much more.
Exactly. She's not culturally appropriating the plants, you know?
Yes.
She is a plant.
Yes. She's trying to save her children. So that point goes to TNBA, and I'm sorry if we frustrated you because I know the BTAS design is very popular.
All right, next up, we have Scarecrow. And before we get into this, let me just ask you, what is the whole point of Scarecrow? Fear, right? You probably said fear. Now look at these two designs, and which one is gonna make you piss your pants more?
I'd say the guy with the noose around his neck.
Probably, right?
Yeah.
Or the giant stick that he's gonna beat you with. And
yeah, what's with the cane? And look at his hands. Can we talk about the skeleton hands he's got going on?
It's just terrifying.
I mean, this dude would put cosplay artists to shame with that mask.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like, I love how his face is like always partly in silhouette. Like, you can't really see the whole thing. It's always obscured. Just adds more to the horror element. Well, the first guy, it's just a dude with a sack on his head, you know?
Yeah, when I was a kid, this Scarecrow was never that scary to me. I just knew it was Scarecrow, the villain. And then I got older and I watched TNBA. and I saw this version of Scarecrow, and I think 5-year-old me genuinely had nightmares.
And I will say, BTAS did have 2 designs for Scarecrow, but even that one isn't enough to bring it back up to the level that TNBA is at, because TNBA Scarecrow is he's just straight up a horror movie villain. He is terrifying, so this is going to be another point for TNBA. All right, next up, we have Bane, and I really like a lot of the things about his TNBA design, especially his voice, and I like the full black suit, you know, with the belt, and he's got the gauntlet to control his venom, but he's straight up wearing a gimp mask, you know?
The mask is what loses it.
Yeah, we can't be doing that with the mask. That looks so weird.
If I could just take the mask from the BTAS design and put it on the TNBA design, I would be happy, and that would be my peak animated Bane design. But unfortunately, we can't do that, and we have to pick. And for that reason, that mask alone is unfortunately grotesque, so I'm going BTAS on this one.
Yeah, the mask really is enough to just drag the whole thing down, so BTAS all the way. All right, next up, we have Catwoman, and 2 very different designs. The first one, we have this gray cat suit with this really nice black face shading. I feel like this one has a lot more personality because it's, you know, not just a shadow person, but apparently Dylan feels differently, so why don't you explain why you like the worst one more?
No, my point is the fact that that's Michelle Pfeiffer, that's Selena Kyle. That's my point. She's literally in the show, light-skinned with a black-haired pixie cut, Selena Kyle. In this, she's some random blonde lady.
The suit's not Michelle Pfeiffer. The suit
is literally the Michelle Pfeiffer suit, but instead
that's closer to Michelle Pfeiffer. It's all black.
Bruce Timm literally described this suit as replicating the Michelle Pfeiffer suit just without the stitches because it looked too scary for kids. Literally describes it that way, along those lines, in the Batman the Animated Series documentary that you can watch on YouTube. It's
You're really
great.
gonna take that Gooner's word as law? He's a pretty talented Gooner, I will give you that.
Yes, but he also made both of these designs, so yeah, we gotta talk about him, and that's what he says about him. The gray cat suit? Really? The gray with the black, like, come on. Versus the all black actual Catwoman suit, and she takes off the mask. Oh, she has a pixie cut.
Like, you're more talking about Selena Kyle's design than Catwoman, because we're not looking at pictures of her unmasked right now. We're looking at the cat suit.
Well, I'm sorry, but like in my head, the BTAS design is Michelle Pfeiffer. The TNBA design is Selena Kyle. There is a distinct difference. They were deliberately going for it.
You're letting these outside factors influence your opinion. She's a shadow. That's just a shadow.
Yeah,
there's nothing
which
there.
is great if you're a cat burglar. I'm down on this. It's TNBA.
You know what? I gotta pick my battles. I will give you this one. You know.
Now listen,
because either way, it's still Catwoman at the end of the day.
Yes, if you could get rid of the white paint on the face, yes, that is a problem with the suit for sure. But like, look at the eyes. She has white eyes in this. That's dope. Like, the white eyes are cool. She's not wearing red lipstick, and she's not blonde.
I don't know. Anyway.
So TNBA Catwoman wins.
All right, this will be a point for TNBA.
All right, that's the hill I'm dying on.
Can you please remove the gun from my neck now?
I'll have you know, I do not have a gun at his neck. I had a knife at his neck. It's completely different. He's safe now.
All right, next up, we have Two-Face, and at a first glance, these 2 designs look very similar, but I feel like the changes in details are really just in how clean-cut Harvey Dent looks here. And in BTAS, he looks a little more disheveled. His face looks a little rougher. He looks more grotesque, while in TNBA, more clean-cut. You know, he's a really professional criminal at this point.
I feel the same way about the Clayface versions as I do with these. It's kind of like he looks older. Like when he's first Two-Face in Batman the Animated Series, he's not as put together. But then we get this older version of him in the new Batman Adventures that's more clean cut. He's got the cleaner suit, more expensive. He's looking more like a Harvey Specter and no longer like a Mike Ross, okay? And honestly, we're going BTAS with this one because we like a Harvey Dent that's still kind of figuring out the craziness in his head.
Yeah, and especially with, you know, how much BTAS focused on the mental break of Harvey Dent. I think I prefer this messier look for the character. And I don't know, I feel like Two-Face, he's got to look kind of ugly. Well, at least half ugly. And the Two-Face portion of his face it's pretty gross. So BTAS for the win. All right, next up, we have Batgirl. And I do have a soft spot for the BTAS design, mostly just because I love Batman cowls that have that little forehead shading where you have like the blue, but then the forehead and like the face is black. I love that so much. However, I don't think that gray really works for Batgirl as much. I think black is a much better base color for her suits, and black contrasts with yellow way more, which is why I think TNBA takes the win here. It just looks way better.
I agree. With Batgirl designs, I like the black suit or I like the purple suit. I don't do the gray and blue. That's already Batman. We're making her too similar to Batman. Let her stand out. Let her have her own design. So I like the black and gold. I've always loved the TNBA design. That's my personal favorite Batgirl suit of all time.
And plus, even though they made the suit black, they still found a way to include the blue highlights, which just adds to the design overall. And I have to say, On both designs, I really like the shorter cape. I think that's fun.
Yeah, I agree. The shorter cape was a nice touch.
All right, this is another win for TNBA. All right, next up, we have the Clown Prince of Crime, the Joker, and this is going to be another clear-cut one. It's BTAS. BTAS is the winner. Like, TNBA, well, technically, he has a cleaner look for, like, his suit, everything from the neck down, but
he has no
that
lips.
Face. Yeah, he's got no lips.
He's got no lips.
His eyes have no soul. Like, he's just, I don't know.
Unfortunately, they did not figure out that he needs lips until the Justice League show. So for that reason, BTAS for the win.
Yes, but if we were including all of the JLU designs, I would have to put JLU Joker above BTAS because they really figured it out in the end. But, you know, right here for this list, BTAS is way better.
No question.
All right, next up, we have Commissioner Gordon, and drastic difference between these two shows. Man lost a lot of weight, and I applaud him. You know, he was looking a little more chunky in his original design, but I think I like that one more, honestly. Like, he's got more of a broad chin. I like the swoopy hair. He's got that really cool trench coat. And the one on the bottom, I just don't buy that this guy's out in the field fighting crime, you know?
Yeah, the one on the bottom to me just looks like an NBA coach. I mean, he looks like an NBA coach that's a little taking it just a little bit too seriously because he's getting that good paycheck, even though his team is losing 1-15, okay? But that BTAS design, he's got the hand in the pocket, the tie out, he's got that whoosh in his hair. He looks like he's gonna walk on the crime scene and just take a big whiff of the smell around the area and instantly know who the culprit is. And I trust that face a bit more.
Yeah, the BTAS Jim Gordon, he's taken control of the crime scene. He's delivering orders. He's like, hey, get that sniper on the roof. And where's, I don't know, whatever police say. I don't know what they talk about. But anyway, BTAS clearly takes the win here.
You know, plus the Jim Gordon design in TNBA doesn't have the coat to put around childlike Bruce Wayne's sad face after his parents die.
All right, next up, we have the Boy Wonder, Robin. Well, in this show, pretty much the Man Wonder because they weren't allowed to use a child as Robin. There were very strict restrictions on, you know, animated kid shows back in the day. Like if you remember in the 90s Spider-Man show, he wasn't allowed to throw a punch. And in this show, they weren't allowed to show children being put in danger. So we have college age Robin, but I think he's still looks pretty good in both shows. However, I think I'm leaning towards BTAS. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. The BTAS design looks really nice, and it is nice that he's actually wearing pants. I always prefer my Robins wearing pants personally, but
shout out to Tim Drake. Thank you for updating that.
My goat. Another point, the new Batman Adventures Robin is just Nightwing in a Robin costume because we only see him so that he can become Nightwing when he's retelling his origin story. It's not really Robin, whereas the BTAS design, that's Robin.
I think you put it perfectly. And while, you know, the TNBA one, again, the art style is a lot more clean. You have like the more kind of, you know, clean and straight lines with the drawings. I kind of do like the more messy, almost rounded off style of BTAS. And for a character with, you know, the youthful energy, you know, like that Robin has, I feel like that kind of art style works a lot more. But I mean, at the end of the day, these are essentially the same costume. So, all right, last up, we have the man himself, the Batman. Now we have two very different designs in both of these shows. BTAS obviously has more of a blue and gray look to the character. In reality, I feel like the costume is actually just black, but they're using the blue for the highlights. That is something that they've done in comic books and animation for the longest time, you know, and TNBA has gone more for just like a straight gray and black look. And I'm having a hard time deciding which one I like more, but I think I'm leaning towards BTAS just because the blue adds that bit of personality, you know?
The blue adding the BTAS design does stand out a lot. Same with the belt being a bit more of a brighter yellow. I will say I have a serious soft spot for the TNBA design. I've always really liked it. And I think as a kid, I watched the TNBA episodes just a lot, so I always have that real soft spot for that version of Batman. But nothing will beat the blue and the black hue that comes off of the BTAS design. So we gotta go for BTAS here. I mean, come on.
Like, yeah, and I feel like if we didn't, there would be riots in the streets. You know, people would be showing up to our houses, threatening to rip us limb from limb. So obviously, it has to be BTAS. All right, after all of that debate and discussion on each and every one of these character designs, we have a winner. And the winner is BTAS with 9 points. TNBA was close. You know, TNBA scored 8 points, but just wasn't enough to pull ahead. Really close matchup here.
I think that says a lot about the TNBA designs because I feel like BTAS is such a high profile that we kind of forget that the TNBA designs were honestly pretty good too. I mean, we had a tiebreaker here. The Batman suits, which in my personal opinion are a little bit interchangeable, but the blue hue on the cape will forever win. So BTAS takes makes it 9 to 8. But TNBA designs really aren't that bad.
Some of the TNBA designs are kind of stinkers, but if you look at the really good ones, what they did was they took some of the BTAS designs that didn't really work and they just improved upon them. Like Poison Ivy, you know, she was too human looking in her first appearance. TNBA goes and fixes that. Same with Scarecrow and Killer Croc. Harley Quinn's about the same in everyone. Batgirl was a massive improvement. Overall, TNBA, it's not really that bad, you know?
Well, thank you again so much for having me on. I hope you guys enjoy hearing my wonderful voice once again. But more importantly, if you guys have anything else you'd like to see me and Nemo debate, please let us know in the comment sections, because we recently realized we live near each other. So if you like both of our voices, we will happily yap your ears off.
Hell yeah. Anyways, thank you, Dylan, for coming on to the channel. Always a pleasure. This has been so much fun. If you guys enjoyed the video at any point today, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button and drop in the comments down below which design you think is the best. Let's talk about it. But yeah, until next time, we'll see you guys later.